job interview, bro. You know? No, I was kidding.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lyon and the Truth. It's your boy Lyon. Right now, I got a special guest in the building on behalf of multiple other guests. But man, my guy, legend in the salsa game. Give it up for Renier. Man, Afincao has been doing amazing things lately, man. Has been doing amazing things, and I wanted to bring you on. I wanted to talk to you. I wanted them to talk to you. First of all, how you feeling, bro? It's cold as hell outside.
It's cold, yeah. I'm feeling good though. You know how it is, man. When you're born and raised in Chicago, you get used to it, man. You don't like it. You don't like it, but you get used to it.
That's true. You end up having to get, thicken up that blood. Have to thicken up that blood real quick, right?
Yeah, with Carhartt. Now we're Carhartt.
With Carhartt. My wife just ended up buying a Carhartt. Well, let me bring this table closer to you, man, because that way we're not leaning over. Yeah, my wife ended up buying a Carhartt hat, and it's coming back. And I remember as a kid, my dad had the Carhartt.
Yeah, man. I used to work outside for a lot of years, man. So if you don't have Carhartt, you're gonna be cold.
Yeah, you're gonna be cold. Yes, it's gonna be cold. Well, once again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening or watching on Facebook, Facebook.com/Lyon and the Truth, or you're watching on LionandTheTruth.com. We got somebody already. Monica, what's up? Greeting from Los Angeles. What's up, Monica? How you feeling? Bring some of that hot weather over here in Chicago. Episode 9. For those of you guys who are watching and listening, last episode 8, we had announced that a free membership to MMA boxing. You ever did that shit before? You ever boxed before?
No, I boxed. Not MMA though.
Oh, so you boxed before?
Yeah, I used to box.
Man. Oh man, so you one of them settlers you don't want to mess with. You don't want to fuck with this one. You like, I'll sing your girl's panties off and I'll punch you in the face.
I defend myself if I have to.
Yeah, that's how you know he's a true G, because he didn't even incriminate himself. He's like, I'll defend myself.
Yeah.
He will catch these hands. But we're going ahead and we're giving away a free month's training sessions month's worth of training sessions at the farm, and that's on the northwest side of Chicago. Brought to you courtesy of Franco Lozano and the Fight Farm. And that's once again, that's in Chicago. So here's what you got to do. All you got to do is listen today. Share today's episode as much as possible. Tag your friends, tag your abuela, tag your tia, tag all your homies and homegirls, and spread the word. And one lucky winner is going to get a free month's worth of fight training. And I don't know about you, but I did a couple classes of MMA. I got my ass beat a couple times. Got my ass beat. Like, not just...
No, that's different. That's like judo and all that, right?
Yeah, that's judo, jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, all together. Okay. So the story was, I said this story last week, so I'm just going to make it real quick. They actually pit me up, since it was my first day, they pit me up against this woman. They put me against a woman, and I didn't hear the instructions that they were telling me to do. Mm-hmm. They were like, hey, you got to fight, but you got to basically, what I heard was defend against kicks. So I'm defending, but what they actually said was, you guys are just going to go back and forth with kicks. So to me, I'm just blocking this lady going 100 miles an hour kicking me. Yeah. And to her, it's a man trying not to hit a woman. So you know what she was doing?
Yeah, she's going all out.
Yeah, she's going all out. She's like, well, you going to disrespect me like this. Anywho, so that's all you got to do. You guys win your free month. Man, so we got Afincao here. We got Ren from Afincao. Ren, how long have you been singing, man? How long have you been singing with Afincao specifically and I guess in general?
Man, with Afincao, I've been singing... honestly, over 10 years. I can't quite pinpoint it a little bit, But, man, I've been singing since I was a kid. You know, I've did little choir stuff, and when I was in grammar school, and just, I was more of an R&B and pop type of.
Bro.
That was my stuff, yeah.
What was your guy? Was it Brian McKnight? Were you Brian McKnight guy? Or was it before that? Or was it before that?
Nah, it was even before that, man.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I'm dating myself, but... remember they had that Friday night videos or something, so you had to listen to every kind of music. It wasn't just like R&B.
Right.
You had rock, pop, you had everything. Yeah. So it's kind of cool because you grow up seeing different things. Right. Now it's just like you just stick to what you like. So
right. Yeah, back then it was a little bit different. At least you could try some different things. Here it's like you got to stick to one. Yeah. So when you were back in the day, you were singing. You got into. I feel like most people who get into music or singing professionally usually say one of two things: either they started off in school and showcases and talent shows, or they start off in church.
I didn't start off in either.
He was singing on the block.
Nah, you know what? You know how I started singing? I'll make it short, but. I used to, my family is all kind of musical, you know, so we'd have family events. I have a cousin who played trumpet, and all of his friends were like big
musicians.
time musicians, you know. So they come by the house, but my uncle always had a conga out there.
Yeah.
And I would sing because, you know, I sang.
Yeah.
So they heard me a couple of times. They were like, man, you know, you could sing. Why don't you come out and do an open mic or whatever, learn these songs? And I was like, well, why not? You know what I mean? Yeah. So
young age, making a little side money too, I bet.
And I went out there and I sang, and that was it. I never stopped.
What was the go-to song? Because everyone got a go-to song. My wife, if she's listening right now, she's gonna say it's the Single Ladies. Every time she's doing the Single Ladies. What was the go-to song when you're out singing cover songs?
Oh no, I mean, you know, it's funny because like when people who see me now, they don't even know I speak Spanish. Like,
really?
They don't know I write music and all that, but I didn't have a go-to salsa song. You know what I mean? It was just I heard this, and then I would, you know, memorize it, remember it, and I would, you know, sing it.
Yeah.
So I think when I was put on back, when I got older, I got put back onto salsa, but I was like, I don't remember listening to Hector Lavoe as a youth, as young, you know what I mean? I remember Frankie Ruiz and all that, and I liked it. But when I got reintroduced to salsa, it was because my brother put me onto Hector Lavoe, and I fell in love with it, bro.
Yeah, Hector Lavoe has a real nice stage aura about him. I'm real picky about stage presence now. Like if you're looking at artists now, especially if you see them live, and if they're just standing by the microphone, not really doing much, or just like kind of, you know, directing the band, that really pisses me off. Like you gotta bring more to the table.
I think, well, now it's got to be a full-on show, man. It does, you know. You got to...
Yes.
And you also got to have, I think, some kind of connection to the audience, you know what I mean? I think that comes across with me more than anything. I think people see that I sing from the heart and I'm genuine, you know what I mean? And a lot of people, that attracts people, you know what I mean? I try to dance, though, you know. I do a little step here and there. You know,
bro, you even saying that coming out of your thug ass mouth, that don't even sound right. Hey, but let me ask you a question. So I love asking tough questions, and I like being as honest as possible. As long as I've known you, right? And I said it to you when you walked in. And it's not in any way disrespect. It's an observation, and it's something I admire. I admire when someone breaks the mold.
Yeah.
And they challenge the status quo. They challenge that cookie cutter image of what or sound of what everybody else is doing. And when you think salsa, you immediately think pretty boy, tight ass pants. You think big collared shirts with opened up down to here with 42 chains on.
Powder blue suits.
Powder blue suits with the butterfly collars, and you get that image of, you know, of the 80s and 70s and 90s even salseros. But as long as I've known you, you've always been very, like, your character and demeanor is always chill. It always reminded me of the guy that you don't want to mess with at a party because you're very quiet, it seemed like, and you're very, like, calculated. And I always wondered, does he do that shit on purpose? Is he, like, quiet because he don't want nobody to know, or is that who he is?
I mean, I'm just, like, quiet by nature. Yeah. I'm not seeking a lot of attention at all. I like man. That. You know what I mean? I'm just. Like, it surprises a lot of people because I perform in front of a lot of people, and I think it's almost like two people, you know. When I'm chilling. I know you personally, we've chilled and all that. Yeah. So it's a little bit more intimate and all that. But then when I'm on stage, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna be me. So you're gonna either love it or you're gonna hate it. But it is what it is. You know what I mean?
So growing up, you had a lot of. It sounds like you had a lot of influences. Hector Lavoe being one of them. Is that where you say you get a lot of your inspiration from?
I think so because I mean, growing up at Humboldt Park, you know, it very street, you know what I mean? So when I heard Hector Lavoe, I think I was more into rap at that time, early rap or whatever. So when I heard Hector Lavoe, I automatically, like, it was street to me. Yeah. It was people talking from the street. Yeah. And salsa, I don't know if anybody else thinks this, but reminds me a lot of hip hop, you know, because, okay, so salsa, you have the body of the song, you know, whatever the song's about, but then all of a sudden it goes into a freestyle. Yeah. So we're gonna do this, and you're gonna, off the top of the dome, you gotta come up with this and that, and so
I'm gonna lose my my musician card here, my Latin music musician card. But what is that? What is the name of that part of the salsa? I forget it now. It's not the moño, right? It's not the moño.
No, when we go into the soneos and all that stuff.
Soneos.
Yeah.
You know, like any musician buddies
is freestyle, like you're freestyling. Yeah. So to me, I mean, I've had shows where I'm feeling the crowd's feeling me. I opened up for Oscar de Leon one time when I had at the time I was playing with Angel Melendez,
Right.
and the band stopped, but the crowd kept singing. They kept singing, I kept singing. You know what I mean? So we were going back and forth, back and forth. The band had to start again.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? And there's when you're on stage, there's really that's the best feeling you could get, man.
Yeah,
you
that is the best feeling you can get. So so my history personally was in merengue, and merengue has something similar, where we can just soñar, and it's similar to hip hop also.
Yeah.
But because I'm limited in my Spanish, I always kept it very, very, very rudimentary, very simple. So you mean to tell me that you could be up on stage with a full 12, 15 piece band and you could just pop out some freestyles basically right off the top of your head?
Well, I'll tell you how I do now. Like we do some covers. We do a lot of originals, which is, but I don't memorize the music anymore. I learned the body of the song, and then everything off of that pretty much is off the top of the head, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, and if you're feeling good, it just flows. You know what I mean? It just
that's
flows.
true.
So.
And sometimes it doesn't even matter what you say. You can go up there and be like zebra cakes and zebra cakes and popsicles, and
you can, but
it depends on how good the sound system is.
No, it's like, I think when you're feeling the music, man, and I got some monsters that play behind me, so it's easy to just let that, when you're up front, all that's hitting you, man. So you get that energy. If the crowd is into it, you get all that energy, bro, and it just flows, man.
It must be difficult, being in a tenured band, such a band that's had such a robust history in salsa here in Chicago. Because what I find fascinating is that although salsa immigrated to the States through New York, right, that we're only still talking about a good 20, 30 years, right? And every single hub of where salsa music was played has their local economy of that music.
Yeah.
So, and that is very limited. We're talking about wherever Puerto Ricans are, pretty much in the United States. That's where salsa proliferated. So you're talking about New York, talking about some parts of Florida. You're talking about the Eastern Seaboard, like Connecticut, Jersey.
Well, yeah, you got some of that. You even got some. But you know what? Nowadays, I'll be honest with you, bro. The salsa scene is very diverse.
That's exactly where I was trying to get at right now. That's what was my next point was. And when you're talking about Chicago salsa history, there's a very select few people that are in that discussion.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating. Like I'm sitting with a third. I'm sitting with a third of Chicago's salsa history. Just like some of under some of those concrete streets on Chicago, this is a third of the salsa scene in my basement studio, and that's fascinating to me, man. Like, how do you feel right now?
I totally get it. Yeah.
How do you feel right? How do you feel right now, being 10 years in, over 10 years in, and like there's a whole nother conversation to be had on where's the state of music? What's your opinion on that?
All right, first, now that you put it in that perspective, it's kind of it makes me smile. You know what I mean? Because I fell in love with this music. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to represent it as best as I can, and I'm also trying to let the next generation grow, let it be known so it could grow. Because the thing that a lot of people don't realize, that if you don't listen to new music and new artists and new salsa, it's gonna die. Hector Lavoe, I love him to death. He was one of my inspirations, but he died a long time ago. He's not coming out with any new albums.
Well, I mean, he could probably do some shit like Tupac and just come up with a new album.
You know what I mean? But if the people who this music started with in the 70s, 60s, 70s, even 80s, you know what I mean? If you're gonna be stuck in the 70s and 80s, this is not gonna go forward. You know. So what we're trying to do as a group, me as an individual, is say, hey, this music is this, and it's cool. And salsa's the type of music, bro. When salsa gets in you, you gotta dance.
Yeah, man.
You gotta shake.
So
you gotta do something.
So true. So of the Caribbean forms of music, you have a very select few. You got merengue, you got salsa, the main ones, the big umbrellas. And of course, there's some musical theory people, I'm sure, watching or listening who can correct me here, but this is just an observation. You got salsa, you got bachata, you got reggaeton, or like urban Caribbean music, tropical, in the tropical realm. merengue, bachata, salsa, and some would even put cumbia in there because of its Colombian roots, right? So you got these four, and of all of them, they've all done their peaks and valleys, right? Like reggaeton, I thought reggaeton died out a long time ago until Venezuela and Colombia picked it back up. Yeah. And salsa was huge once DLG came back out. Was it Jesus Luis Enrique? Yo no sé mañana and Clave. These are guys that rejuvenated salsa.
Yeah. New blood, pump new blood
into it, right? New artists, new sounds, and it's just fascinating to see where salsa is now. Are you happy with where salsa is now?
I mean, I can't say I'm happy. You know what I mean? Because salsa is just so in the past. If you listen to radio stations, even in like say not here because there really is no radio station, which is crazy. But if you go to Florida,
no radio station
if you go to Florida and all that, most of the stuff they play is old stuff.
Yeah,
they're not pumping. Back in the day, it was.
I like
a thing where like these DJs and all that, they were trying to discover the next thing. Yeah, they ain't want living in the past. They're trying to discover the next big thing.
Right.
So until we get back to that and realizing that the only way that this music is gonna grow is if we, nurture it, cultivate it, find new blood. There's a song that always sticks with me, and it was like you said, the go-to song. Exactly. You said about a song that stuck with me. One of the first songs that I had to learn was Indestructible by Ray Barreto. And that song has always stuck with me because that song is wholeheartedly about new blood. Yeah. You know what? And pumping new blood. And
I thought he was gangbanging. I thought he was talking about bloods and stuff like that. No. Yeah. No, man, but it's crazy. You're absolutely right. It is about the new blood. Like I was just thinking, just when you were talking, I was thinking to myself, like, what was it about the 90s and the 80s that I remember my mom, like, cleaning every Saturday morning, and I heard the same damn songs. I heard La India, I heard Hector Lavoe, I heard Jerry Rivera, I heard Eddie Santiago, I heard Ray Ruiz. Yeah. Yo, man, I heard all of that. Eddie De Leon, Santa Rosa, Nieves.
That's the stuff that you go to a club. That's the stuff that's still playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean? But listen to, like, for example, mainstream radio right now. Now, if you were to go, like, for example, I love alternative rock music. I like it. You know, like old school Green Day, Blink 182, Sublime. I like stuff like that. Yeah. There's nothing new like that. But the rock stations that are on the radio right now are playing rock music from the late 90s and early 2000s. And they continue to play that shit on rotation. Yeah. And in places like Florida, right, like you're saying, it's a lot of places, like a lot of stations like that.
Well, the thing is, I think that even for me, like, music is when you, let's say, some certain song comes on, you go back to that moment. I heard this song. I was in
Babalu's.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I was in Puerto Rico. I heard this song. So music brings familiarity, to situations. So it brings back memories and stuff like that. Yeah. So a lot of people get stuck in that. You know what I mean?
Nostalgia.
If I'm 60 something and my heyday was back when Hector Lavoe was on point, when I hear you todo tiene su final, I'll be like, man, I remember when I had the baby powder blue
better
suit,
times,
the pushback, you know what I mean? The thick, what do they call it? Those stacks,
the platforms,
the platform shoes.
Damn, so, bro, you ain't that old.
No, I'm saying, that's how people
those
think.
People I'm about to say you ain't got no platforms, my nigga. Come on,
never had the platform.
Yeah, the little goldfish on the inside.
So people just like they're gonna do what's familiar to them and all that. But what I'm trying to say, and what we try to push is that there's great, not only because I don't like the thing local talent. I don't like that saying at all. Like I'm talent. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because I'm in Chicago. That's not my ceiling. You know what I mean? I see me doing other things. You know what I mean? So
I think guys like you definitely, like, if you put them in New York, you'll bang with the best of them. You bang with the best.
I wholeheartedly believe that. In fact, I've been to Florida. And I was living out there for a while, tried out for a band, made it. You know what I mean? And I just hate when people put restrictions and limits on what we are or what we can do.
Based off of where you live?
Based on where you're from or anything like that. You know what I mean? Hey, If you want to put yourself in a cage, that's fine.
Yeah.
But don't put me in a cage, you know?
Man, right now reggaeton is hitting.
Oh, yeah.
It's hitting. Like, I honestly believe if it had not been for reggaeton, there'll be no Univision at the moment.
I thought about singing reggaeton.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's like, look, it's like when you go to a club and you hear that ratchet ass song but when you're in the club, it's like, okay, I can move my ass just a little bit. But any other day you wouldn't have it. That's how I kind of feel about reggaeton. It's like, it's kind of history for me too, but how do you feel about reggaeton now?
You know what? I think anything that makes you feel good, it's cool. You know, now I have my issues with reggaeton. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit. I'm telling you reggaeton. I'm telling all them. Daddy Yankee, if you're listening right now, Ren is coming for you.
No, man. I you know what I love about him though, like him specifically, that these guys pave these ways and they open these doors, bro.
And they bring new talent. Yes, they all do. They all do, man.
Yeah. So I mean, even like Bad Bunny and all that. The only thing I have with the Bad Bunny and all that stuff like that, man, is I said it on my Facebook. I offended some people, but it is what it is, you know.
What?
You know that I look in the crowd and the women is 42 and up. You know what I mean?
What? You think his fan base is older?
Yeah, you know. I mean,
really?
Yeah, well, you know, from I don't know, but maybe it's just my Facebook friends. It's
yeah,
like,
that's
hey,
probably what it is, bro.
We 40 and up, you know what I mean?
Why are you listening to the kid shit? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, leave the perreando for the young people.
Hey, bro, that makes you feel young. It makes you feel good. Get some juice back in the joints a little bit.
So yeah, I said, you know, playing around, man. It's lighthearted. I like to have fun with people, you know, but you know, I like to push buttons too, man.
Yeah, you know, before we put the camera on and put you on the microphone, you were really outspoken about, you know, the local scene here, but I'd like you to you know, to talk a little bit more about the national scene, right? Because personally, I'm involved in music too, and the only reason why I never touched salsa, although it's a big influence of mine, is because I was nervous about its you know, if it's gonna stand the test of time.
Yeah.
You know, and which is ironic because I started off as a bachata band, which is the same. You could say the same thing. But what would you say to that, to somebody who says, "Man, salsa's dying, salsa's dead. There is no market for salsa, or there will never be no new blood, or it's gonna die with this generation"?
Well, I say that, you know, it'll die if we let it die. If we stop trying to create, if we just settle for, okay, you know, whatever formula they did in the 60s and the 70s and even in the 80s, if we stick to that and we don't try to bring our own, you know, I do music, man, and I always have my son in mind, you know what I mean, because I want my son to experience culture, to experience music, and I want him, you know, one of my things is like, I want him to, if he likes this, to be, you know, able to say, yeah, well, you know what, I want this torch, and I want to even make it better. I always tell my son, I don't want you, you know, that thing where you're gonna be like your dad, and I want you to be better than me. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, so and that goes for music. You know what I mean? If our stuff, which is we're pushing it, because Chicago, you know how they say, it's like we've done a lot. Well, of what we're gonna do in Chicago, we've already done it. You know what I mean? So I think it's time to, you know, expand and look
that's a great point.
Move,
that's a very good point. We have our speaking as, you know, people who have been in the music business in Chicago for a very long time. We have had a handful of people that might have made it a step further in the, you know, in the dream, right? Like you got Angel Melendez, who was nominated for a Grammy. That's a dream that many of us were reaching for. You got Ricky. You have Ricky for you know, with Enclave for really doing some big things. I think it was Jesus Enriquez, who was signed by Sony, right? RMM, sorry.
Yeah, he was signed. So what it goes to show you, like, we work with Ricky right now, man. Ricky's an amazing musician and even better person. And he, you know,
except the fact he's vegan, that I don't know.
Oh no, you know, he's trying to get me to do that too, man.
Oh, you thinking about it?
I'm thinking about
bro, but no butter, man. No butter,
nothing,
no
man.
cheese,
nothing, man.
No cheese. You're from Chicago.
I know, man.
Wisconsin's right there.
Man, it's about health. That, you know, you start getting older, man.
True. It's true. You know? Shit starts falling apart the more sugar you put in yourself. I was talking to this Indian guy and that's not racist. He just happened to be Indian, all right? And he was telling me, you know, in their country, how sugar is not on anything, basically.
Yeah.
And how he was told that by a nutritionist 6 grams of sugar, and a donut has like 18 grams of sugar.
Yeah,
so
no.
6 grams of sugar throughout the entire day, and you're putting a donut in your system that's 3 times that.
Yeah, no. I mean,
and how are we?
As far as that, we got a crazy system, man. We got a crazy system, man. I think that a lot of people are waking up as far as that, and then we're making different choices. We're making better choices for health, for future, because hey, if you get caught up in the system, they're gonna keep you there,
bro. So how can you stay like a beast on stage when you have that Hennessy in your system?
I'm trying to get the endorsement.
Yeah, trying to get the endorsement, right? So tell me about that, man. Hey, I follow you online, and I see every other day someone's talking to you about Hennessy. So tell me the story. How'd this happen?
Well, Hennessy and Afincao and me.
I love how you're talking about it like it's a person, by the way.
It's like it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
I didn't used to drink. I never drank before my life. I don't like beer. I don't like alcohol, all that. None of that.
I can attest. I offered him beer and he said no. He turned it down.
So one time we were going to have a gig. I had a little bit of a sore throat, and my man Brian, the timbalero from Afincao.
Shout out to Brian Rivera.
Yeah, Brian Rivera. Bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
I had a sore throat. He was like, man, Ren, take some of this. So took 2 of them, and hey, she been with me ever since, man.
Yeah.
I call her like my lady, man, because she's there with me through the good times and the bad times.
Bro, how is Hennessy not picking this up? This is a great story.
Oh, man.
You gotta contact him direct. You gotta start hashtagging him for everything.
I'm gonna start. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna start doing. Cause if I could get it,
get some sponsorship dollars, right?
If I could get it, I'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man. So you're a legend in the game. You've been here for many years. What are some stories? I know you got some. Wait, are you married? Got a girl?
No, man.
You're single.
Never been.
You're single and mingling.
I'm single.
Single like a dollar bill. Got some friends out there.
I don't do too much mingling, man. You'd be surprised. I don't mingle.
All right, I get you. I see. I respect the play. I respect it. Keeping it low profile online. But I'm sure you have some stories of,
definitely.
What are some of the things
Craziness?
that stand out? I'm sure some things that happen. Any kind of story. What are some of the stories, man? I know you got some of them.
Man, sometimes I get stereotyped. A lot of people stereotype.
Really?
Be like, you're a singer, you this and this and that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of those stories that are definitely true, man.
Yeah?
You got to be careful out here, man. But one thing I've always done is I try to keep business
separate from
that personal aspect of my life is I hold that very close, you know what I mean? So I don't try to mix business with pleasure at all.
Got it. You're a thought. I get it. No, I'm playing. No, but it does sound like you're pretty private about that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm private about a lot, man. I'll tell you what, I go when I'm not gigging. If I happen to be able to go see somebody else, another group or whatever, man, I low profile, man. I go, I find a corner to stand in, have my drink in my hand, and I just enjoy it because it's a lot of talent, man. It's a lot of talent.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, man, because of the 14 times I've invited you, bro. I've seen you at all of my shows, bro.
No,
every single one of them.
He ain't seen me. He invited me to a rehearsal that I showed up to.
You did. I remember that. Yeah, you did come to that rehearsal.
And I appreciated it.
That was fun.
I appreciated it, man.
Well, we do go way back.
And let me tell you something. For real, I do want to come out and check you out because I know that one thing I know about you is that you bring energy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
yeah,
know
but
that
Fat Boy can move, man. Fat Boy can move. I got that most of that ocean and that jelly in that belly, bro. But I've always said it, man. As long as I've been around, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and I've always loved Afincao's vibe, man. Tell me a little bit about Afincao.
Well, Afincao is, man. I didn't know the guys. I knew Brian actually. Brian is the one that kind of reached out to me at the time I was singing with Angel Melendez. And Joe Mendy, who's the director and who's basically the leader of Afincao, he's like, the Batman or whatever you want to say. So he was coming back. He was finishing a tour with Enclave. He was actually playing Bone for them, and he was coming back home.
Bones, for all of you non-musicians, are trombones. Trombones.
So
that's the word of the day today, ladies.
Yeah. So he was coming back, and he wanted to do his own thing. At the time, I'm singing with Angel. And, he reached out to me to talk to me, this and that. And only thing I asked him, I was like, we're doing original music. He said, yeah. I said, I'm in. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And so the vibe was, we have friendships, and it's kind of grown. We have our little fights here and there, man. We do, because
it's not a band if you don't.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times it's easy to love people, when it's all love. It's good, you know what I mean? But when you have that don't see eye to eye, or you have that, whatever, and then you're able to put it in the back and say, hey, you still my dude, you still my guy, let's move forward. You know what I mean? And I think that that's where we're at as a band. You know what I mean? We enjoy each other. Right. I want my dudes to succeed.
Right.
As much as as I want to succeed.
Sometimes you want to reach out and choke them.
Yeah, man. Sometimes you want to choke them when they show up late. When whatever.
Or they mess up their solo.
Yeah. So, but you know what? I want them, bro. Sometimes they blow me away, bro. Like I sit back and I'm on stage. And I turn around and I say, man, hey, I put these guys up against anybody. Yeah. And I'm not saying anybody here. I'm saying anybody.
Anybody.
Yeah.
That's true, man. There's a lot of talent here that I see is obviously overlooked, man. It's obviously overlooked. Yeah. What are some things that, like, you feel that the public, the civilians, people who are not in music, they need to know about not only Afincao, but I would say music, live musicianship? This is a different animal than the DJs you guys hear that press play.
Definitely. To me, salsa is a music that is centered around live music. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Has to be live.
If you have a live band and they're on point, brother, there's nothing like that, man. Yeah. Because if all you're interested is in just listening to the DJ spin records, bro, stay at home and play
for free.
And play a Spotify or something like that, because the energy and all that you get from a live band, bro, there's nothing that compares to that. You know what I mean? So if you want an experience, you know what I mean? If you want to get an experience, and it might not be the vocals, it might be the timbal, it might be the conga. We got Danny Feliciano on congas, who's a monster. Man, I've been with Danny for a long time, man.
Bro, have you ever shook his hand? Like, you see how big his hands are, bro.
His hands hurt, man.
Bro, if you guys know a percussionist, right? Specifically a conguero or bongocero, or these guys have hands like catcher's mitts.
Yeah, his whole life he been banging them drums, man. So they're conditioned.
Yeah, he don't need a hammer when he goes to work. He just slaps the nails in.
But you get you have these monsters behind you, man, and it sometimes it amazes me that people in Chicago don't realize what kind of talent there is. You know what I mean? They don't.
But I kind of feel in the same respect. It's all the same. These guys that are great and they're amazing, sometimes they just act like knuckleheads, man. They don't see the end result. We're visionaries like you do, where they don't see that this $50, $100 over here. Oh, I'm gonna go over there because they're gonna pay me more. They don't see the respect, the hustle, the what they have to put into the game in order to get their reward.
I totally agree, because like even with us, like sometimes I feel like that we have guys that'll push Mark Anthony, they'll push India because they're gonna back them up, or these other artists. Let me tell you something about these other artists. I got a lot of love and I got a lot of respect for people who have made it. Yeah. But at one point they were where I'm at. You know what I mean? So everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, as they say. And I don't aspire to be, I don't look at people as they are this and that's just a person just like me. You know what I mean? So I don't want to like put anybody on a pedestal. Yeah. Because if you're on a pedestal, then I can't reach you. But if I look at you like another person, which you are, guess what? I can be just like you, and maybe even better. Right. You know what I mean? So until people start believing that they have the talent, or they have the, whatever it is that you need, until you start believing that yourself, then you're not. A lot of people think of me as an arrogant dude. They think, because one of the things I don't really do too much is I do backup vocals or choros, whatever. I've done that in the past. I have, because you pay your dues when you're coming up in the music business. But for me personally, I take it more as a challenge. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do backup. I want to be up front. You know what I mean? Is that to say that I don't? Yeah, because sometimes I go somewhere and I hear a jam, and I'm like, man, you know what? I just want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But that's love. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I
love
mean?
for it.
That's love. You know what I mean? We you've been in the music scene. We
Mhm.
underpaid, underappreciated,
Overworked.
overworked. You
Yeah.
know, but at the end of the day, I think it's the love of it
Yeah.
that keeps me
Yeah.
coming. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and even to piggyback off of what you're saying, a lot of these artists, although they have been where we are now, or they have been where we are now, a lot of them ain't sending the elevator down. They're not sending it. I mean,
Oh no, no,
how
no.
many artists have you opened up for
Yeah.
that don't give a flying fuck if you're doing a sound check? They don't care the time that you're on. They don't care how long you have. They don't care if you want to bring your mother because she's so excited that you're opening up for Oscar de Leon,
Yeah.
or because that you want to bring your lady because you don't spend no time with her. So there's an opportunity to take her to a concert and see you perform and somebody else perform. They don't care about any of that shit.
Yeah.
They ain't asking about you. They ain't looking for you. It's up to us to make that happen.
Oh, and it's up to it's up to us to get up there and kick the door down, because like a lot of times what happens is like established artists or whatever, they might, if they reaching down or they looking back to help the next man, guess what? That next man might take their food.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's a terrible mentality.
It's
man.
crazy though. Yeah.
And it's
when I started singing,
Yeah.
I ran into a lot of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I ran into a lot of like, nah, I ain't giving you no mic time,
Yep.
none of that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I'm like, at the end of the day, I had to kick down the door. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And I had to stop respecting people saying, yo, respect me now. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And now some of them same cats, they used to
Are asking you for mic time.
No, yeah, they're standing in the corner giving me the puppy dog look. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and I'd be like, guess what I do? Come on up.
Yeah.
Come on up because I ain't got that in me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's never been about, bro. I think I've played with Afincao all these years, and I don't think I've ever mentioned my name once.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been about the group.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not a big guy on attention or anything like that. I don't need all that, man. If me and my guys are up there and we having fun and we sound good, bro, music speaks for itself.
You know what you remind me of, bro? Has anybody ever told you this? You remind me of like a salsa version of a Marshawn Lynch.
Oh no!
Has anybody ever told you that?
No, man.
Nah, yeah, I could totally see that. Not only you kind of look like him, but like you have the same kind of demeanor about yourself. It's about you're about the action.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's not about the hype. You're about the action.
It's definitely.
But I
man.
kind of feel like, and again, man, this is no disrespect, but this is just for the sake of argument and the sake of conversation. I kind of feel like that type of character and mentality is not praised in salsa. It's like they want you to puff your chest. They want you to be just like everybody else.
Yeah, no,
they want you to sound like everybody else. What do you say to that?
It's crazy because you pretty much hit it right on the head. You know what I mean? Like,
They ain't ready for that truth. It's like
no, they love for you to go out there and imitate. Because let me tell you something. If you a singer, you earn your merit on originality, on making your own sound and singing your own way. I can go out there and sing like Hector Lavoe. I can go out there and be the fake Mark Anthony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
But who's gonna be the first Renier?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the first Afincao?
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
if he never cut the hole out of his butt cheeks, would there even be a Prince?
Oh, exactly.
Right?
But the thing is that, bro, I don't think even if we go back and we say, okay, so Hector Lavoe, bro, if Hector Lavoe was a pioneer at the time, bro, he wasn't doing what they did before him.
No.
He was making his way.
Yeah.
So if you're not making your own way, bro, if you're all you're about is making covers and singing covers, that's all you ever gonna be. You're gonna be playing in these dive bars and these little lounges and all that,
God.
and you ain't never gonna do nothing.
Yeah, you be the wedding singer pretty much.
Not even the wedding singer.
Because the weddings actually pay pretty decent. The lounge singer.
Nah, those pay good, but so with me, it's like, look, this is me.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
You either gonna love it, you're not, whatever, but you're gonna get it. That's what you're gonna get when you come see us. You're gonna have to either broaden your horizons, and let me tell you, I'll be honest. We get a lot of love. We do. We get a lot of
Definitely.
love.
I think I'll do.
You know, one of the craziest things you asked me earlier about one of the things that happened to me, and it was like one time I was on stage, and I was, you go up there, anybody want to request, anybody want to hear a song, and some girl came up to me and said, yeah, can you play Noche de Pasión? and that was the first time that anybody asked for one of our originals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a good feeling.
Yeah, so I was taken back, and I looked and I was like, "Oh, you know that song, huh?" And she was like, "Yeah, I love that song." You know, so once you get a taste of that, man, it's hard to go back
like
to
else like it, man. There's nothing else like it.
It's hard to go back to hey, let me sing Frankie Ruiz and Hector Lavoe, you know. And I do it. I'm in the shower, I'm in the car or whatever. I still jam to those guys, man, because without those guys, there's no us.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll be damned if they had that mentality, they would have been stuck. So we can't be stuck.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Although ideally that is, I agree 110%. I would be so bold as to say that unfortunately, like, the idea and the dream is a lot harder to attain when geographically we're in a place that I kind of feel like it doesn't support it, or there's no market for it.
Yeah.
One or the other, or both.
Well, it's hard here because there's, you know.
Who wants to dance to salsa at 0-degree weather?
Oh man, I do.
Where else? Well, I mean, in New York, I know, right? It's true. I was being funny, but it's true. There's people that have it.
Let me tell you why. One of the other reasons I love to watch people that know how to dance, man.
Yeah,
because salsa is one of the last dances where it's a man and a woman, and you know, you're not doing your thing. We're doing this together.
Hey, there be a lot of men be throwing down now too, bro. Women and women be throwing down too. Bro, you never seen your auntie, your tia Maria? The tia Maria, they always find the other female in the family, and they be dancing like it's.
Yeah, you know, there's all of that, but you know, but that one-on-one with that other person, that vibe, that flow. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's, bro. I can stand there, sit there, whatever, and watch art, because that's art, man. You know?
I agree 100%. Do you feel like that even the salsa dance world has changed?
Definitely.
How so?
Because I see so many people dancing off beat.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah. All right. So So for those guys who don't know what we're talking about, salsa is dance on a certain clave. Some people dance on one. Some people dance on two. And in the dance world, this is highly not debated per se, but a lot of people feel that dancing on one makes you more of a master of salsa, if you will, because it's a little harder to get the rhythm of, especially if you've learned on two, which most of the population learns how to dance salsa on two.
So now what is happening nowadays is that a lot of people, and it's cool, don't get me wrong, like, I welcome it. There's a lot of people are interested in taking salsa lessons, this and that.
Yeah.
But when you take salsa lessons, you learn these steps, but you're not learning the culture, the music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
true.
So
they might be doing some amazing things on the dance floor, turns and all this stuff, but if you look at them and you listen to the music, it's like, well, that's... You know what I mean? It's not matching up. It's like these guys are on the wrong step at the wrong time or whatever. But you've come to accept it. You know what I mean? And I'll be honest, like, I invite and I love it to see all these other different cultures. You know, you go to salsa event now and you see white, black, Chinese.
Yes. A lot of Polish people dancing salsa now in Chicago.
Dancing, man.
Everybody's dancing. Korea, it's big everywhere. It's like a whole.
You see some of them women. Them women are desperate for dancers, man. For guy dancers, because women love to dance, bro. They love to dance salsa.
You know, that's one thing. That is what I can honestly say now in hindsight, that is what got me into Spanish music. Yeah. Is my dad said, if you ever want to go getting good with the ladies, you got to learn how to dance salsa. Yeah. And that's how I got into it. Immediately I started dancing salsa at like 12 years old, and I was banging it out while I was in that.
My mom basically, I didn't even know I was learning salsa. I was just like, you know, every Sunday, the music was on. It's like, come here, you're my partner today. So, you know, it was kind of like, and I'm still like that to this day. I didn't take lessons or anything. But it's just more of that natural, natural rhythm.
I kind of feel like a lot of dancers these days aren't being natural, though.
No,
I kind of feel like
stage,
it's all staged, like
performance.
I used to be heavily into the dance world, but then I got out because I felt like I crossed the line. I felt like I no longer am doing this for fun. Yeah. Now I'm doing this to show everybody in this room I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, performance, and that's what I think a lot of when you go out, you see a lot of dancers, and you see the guys gyrating their hips more than women, you know. And if that's your thing, that's your thing. Yeah. But I'm kind of old school when it comes to that. I always appreciated a man who let the woman shine.
Yeah.
In salsa, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And he was just masculine. He was smooth. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean?
And a good leader.
But right, and there's a lot of that now. It's not that. It's just like, hey, let's shake our shoulders, and you know, let's put our hands up and flare and all that stuff like
Yeah.
that. Which, if that's what you want to do, then
Yeah.
you're entitled to it.
Yeah.
But you know, that's just my opinion. You know,
Yeah.
everybody has something.
I feel like Afincao has a very good cult following with amongst the dancers in Chicago.
Yeah, we've had I think we've been blessed and lucky to pretty much work with everybody. You know,
Yeah.
you've got Latin rhythms, you got Latin street, mixed motion. You know, we've been able to work with a lot of dance groups, and we've been good with a lot of them. You know what I mean? Like they enjoy our music, and we enjoy working with them. And it's kind of crazy because one of my things has always been to, man, I would love to figure out how we can bring all of those groups into the same place, into the same room, into the same club or whatever, and let's just have a good time, you know. Cause
let's have a dance off, like breaking.
Even if it might, even if it's that, you know, even if it's a competition.
Yeah.
But there's so many dancers, and you know, everybody has their own social. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So imagine all of those people under the same roof with with a couple of bad bands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be a hell of a party.
Yeah, united. That's I mean, the same can be said about a lot of the bands out there. The bands. I talked to Joe a couple weeks back about the possibility of uniting fronts somehow. Well, I don't even know what that looks like or what it means, but ultimately speaking, there's a void of unity. You know, where there's need, there needs to be unity.
Yeah.
And there is a need, and that need is there is a huge population here that listens to more than just reggaeton.
Oh, definitely, man. You know, the thing is, we're here, and sometimes you have a lot of hate. I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot of hate. You know, there's a lot of guys hating, trying to. But guess what? Ain't none of us nowhere. We all in the same boat. You know what I mean? Competition to me salsa is not about competition, right? To me, salsa is about you might have your style, I'll have my style, and we can all enjoy each other's thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing that irks me is when somebody's not humble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Humility.
Yep.
If you're not humble and
Agreed.
you think just because you can sing a song or imitate somebody singing a song or whatever that makes you better, then. And I think, like I said, my connection with my crowd, you know, is that I'm you. You know what I mean? I'm you. You know, sometimes I'll be on that side of it, but this time I'm on this side, and I joke around with them. You know, I joke around with people like me and you joke around. You know what I mean? And I try to let them know that, hey, I'm just the singer for the night. You know what I mean? So, but we get a lot of love in Chicago. You know, we've had a lot of good you know, got a lot of good times. We've done a lot of the big events here, Taste of Chicago and Summer Dance, and you know, the big venues here. I mean, so at this point, it's just about how do we get from here. You know,
and that's my next question. That's my next question. It's you've run the gamut. You've been through it all. You went from the guy in the back in the Coro line. You got your musicians have jumped from band to band, and finally you find a cohesive nucleus, and that nucleus starts to grow, and the shows get better, and you get a following, and you get songs, you get the album, you record it, you do the music videos, you get the fans, you got the merchandise, you're getting the big shows, and then once you reach a certain peak, it's customary for us musicians, whether it's in Chicago or anywhere, to ask ourselves, even personally, like, what's next for me? What's next for us?
Right. So we're kind of at that point, I guess, and as far as a group, or maybe me personally, you know. So what's next? Well, what's next for me is the world. You know, why not? Why not me?
What does he say in Scarface? What does he say? What is his name? The Scarface's homeboy?
Manolo.
Yeah. The world, the what's coming to me. I want what's coming to me.
I want what's coming to me, right? And that's all it is, man. Look, right now we're opening up. We've been to Canada a couple times. We've done stuff over there. You know, and now
Did you
we're
see Drake?
opening up. No, I ain't see Drake, man. I ain't see no Drake.
Drake doing a salsa.
say,
Imagine Drake doing a salsa, bro.
We was over there at the Lula Lounge in Toronto.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, I heard Canadians be getting down with some salsa.
Bro, that night, that place was packed. It was like we were back in the day when salsa was at its prime.
That's a good feeling.
Beautiful women, had dudes dancing, looking good, sharp, whatever. You know, so it was a good event. And then like now we're branching out. We're trying to get out there to Mexico, Colombia, all that stuff like that. You know,
good, man. Can you hide me in your maleta if you go to Colombia or some shit?
Hey, all I know is I ain't gonna know how to act. You know what I mean? So it's about growing, man. Especially if you believe in what you're doing, it's about growing, man. You know, I've always believed in Afincao. I can go to sleep tonight being who I am, and tomorrow I could wake up somebody big. You know what I mean? Because I believe that's how much I believe in our music and the product that we do. You know, so to me, it's just a matter of somebody getting it in the right person's ear, getting it in the right person's hand, or just the right person saying, damn, who are these guys?
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
So,
what's Afincao's next show? Where can we see you guys next?
Afincao's next show is at the Cubby Bear. Which is, I think it's January 14th.
Right across the street from Wrigley Field.
You would have to look it up on Sunday, Salsa Sundays at the Cubby Bear for the exact date, but I know it's in January, which is going to be next year. I forgot we're still in December.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean.
We got one more day.
It's a Sunday night. It's a live spot. Sunday nights, if you want to go out there, it don't matter if it's cold outside. I guarantee you there's going to be people dancing. It's going to get hot.
Love it.
You know, so we'll be doing a show up there next.
Well, Afincao never, ever disappoints. Every time I've seen them, the guys are by far probably my favorite band in Chicago besides our own, obviously. I got to say that. But definitely Afincao is probably my favorite band in Chicago. Ren, thank you for coming, man. Really appreciate the talk, man. Always good speaking to you and hearing what you got coming up in that creative mind of yours, the new songs, new music. It's insane. I was like, you're talking to somebody that creates art. You know what I mean?
No, man,
at that level, and you're performing it. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people have that ability to do that.
You know what? I've learned that when you first start in the game, man, you don't know yourself. And over the years, I started to learn that no matter how much music you studied or this and that, I didn't study music, man. I just whatever God gave me, this is what I got. You know what I mean? And I just go with it, man, and I enjoy it. And hey, thanks
You're like
for
the
having
MacGyver
me.
of salsa.
You know what I mean? Hey, you know what it's become to me? It's become an outlet. So a lot of the music that I write now, it's almost like if I'm writing into my diary.
I like that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except a lot of people get to listen to.
Yeah. For being very private, you're very open.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, thank you so much, Ren, for coming on out. Afincao. You guys have a new album coming out?
We just released like an EP with 4 songs.
Bang!
You know, Joe right now is in Puerto Rico. I'm mad because he didn't take me. But I was going to bring you one. But if you want, you could look on any platform, man.
Yeah.
It's called, the latest song we released is called No Creo en el Amor. Afincao, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you want to look, it's on there.
All right.
You know.
So, guys, for everybody who's listening and watching, don't forget to pick that up. Check it out on Spotify or any place that you're hitting your streaming music. While you're there, don't forget to visit us at lionandthetruth.com. That's at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, anywhere that you get your streaming music and podcasts from. Look us up. Ren, once again, man, it was a pleasure having you.
No, thanks, man.
Man. Had so much fun today, guys. Don't forget to visit us. Next show's coming up. We got a couple awesome, amazing guests coming up. Gabriel from B96. We have Ron from Paranormal Detectives coming up. So don't forget to check in periodically. And if you're around, check us out at lionandthetruth.com. Check out the old episodes. This episode will be available on Friday at all your streaming platforms. Without any further ado, man.
Thanks, bro.
Peace out, man. Bang, bang.